Luna had been tracking the space pirates for 3 weeks across 7 star systems when she finally found their hideout on the jungle moon of Kepler 9. The humid air made her silver hair stick to her pointed ears as she crept through the thick vegetation. Her 3 small dragons followed silently behind her, each no bigger than a house cat but deadly as any weapon flame. The red dragon rode on her right shoulder, his golden eyes scanning for threats. Storm, the blue dragon, perched on her, left shoulder crackling with barely contained electricity. Forest, the green dragon, wrapped around her waist like a living belt, his scales changing color to match their surroundings. The pirate base was built into a mountain with only one entrance. Luna knew she needed to wait for nightfall. Her elf eyes could see perfectly in darkness while the pirates would be nearly blind. She found a hidden cave near a waterfall and decided to rest and prepare for the attack. The cave opened into a larger chamber with a natural pool fed by an underground spring. The water glowed with a soft blue light from phosphorescent bacteria. Luna set down her weapons and removed her battle armor piece by piece. The metal was scratched and dented from countless fights. She had been alone for so long that modesty had become meaningless. Her dragons kept watch while she stepped into the glowing pool. The cool water felt amazing against her pale skin, washing away weeks of sweat and dirt. The magical runes tattooed across her body began to glow, responding to the minerals in the water. Each rune told a story of a battle won or a lesson learned. The spiral on her shoulder marked her first kill defending her colony from raiders. The tree on her back showed her connection to nature magic. The sword on her thigh represented her mastery of combat. The star on her chest was for navigation through space. Luna floated on her back in the pool, letting the water support her weight. Her dragons played at the edge, chasing glowing fish that lived in the cave flame, tried to catch them with tiny jets of fire. Storm shocked the water, making them jump. Forest grew small vines, trying to snare them. She was thinking about her next move against the pirates when she heard something that made her freeze. 2 sets of footsteps were approaching the cave. They moved carefully but not silently. Whoever they were, they had not expected to find anyone here. Luna moved toward the edge of the pool, but it was too late to reach her armor or clothes. 2 tall figures appeared at the cave entrance and stopped suddenly when they saw her. Their forearms each hung at their sides in surprise. Their silver skin reflected the blue glow of the water. They were twins, identical in every way except for the markings on their foreheads. One had a circle, the other a triangle. Their large black eyes were twice the size of a human's and showed no whites at all. Those eyes fixed on Luna and did not look away even as she stood, waist deep in the glowing water. Her dragons reacted instantly. Flame launched himself into the air, breathing a warning burst of fire. Storm sparked with electricity, making the air smell like ozone. Forest grew thorns along his spine and hissed like a snake. They formed a protective barrier between Luna and the strangers. The twin with the circle marking raised all 4 hands in a gesture of peace. He spoke in accented but clear English, explaining they meant no harm. They were scientists from the Zeta system studying the ruins of an ancient civilization. Their ship had been attacked by pirates and crashed nearby. Luna studied them carefully. Her elf instincts told her they were not lying, but she stayed alert. She had survived this long by not trusting easily. The twins kept staring at her glowing runes, seemingly fascinated by the magical markings. The twin with the triangle marking pointed at her runes and asked if she was one of the legendary space elves. His voice held wonder and disbelief. Their people had stories about magical beings from Earth, but most believed they were myths. Luna finally moved to the edge of the pool and pulled herself out. The twins watched every movement, their dark eyes following the water drops, running down her skin. She walked past them without shame or fear and picked up her cloak. As she wrapped the fabric around herself, she told them she was indeed an elf, probably one of the last. Her people had fled Earth centuries ago when humans discovered magic and tried to destroy them. They scattered across the galaxy, but most had died in the war against the Machine Empire. The twins introduced themselves as Crix and Vex. They were xenobiologists searching for signs of the old races that once ruled the stars before the machines rose to power. Hundreds of species had lived in harmony. Now only a few remained hidden and scattered. Luna noticed purple blood seeping through tears in their silver clothing. They were injured worse than they had let on. Their ship must have taken heavy damage in the pirate attack. She made a decision that surprised even herself. She offered to help them treat their wounds and rest in her cave until they were stronger. The twins exchanged a look of silent communication that she could not interpret. Then they accepted her offer with grateful bows. Her dragons slowly relaxed their defensive postures. Flame landed on the ground and sniffed at their feet. Storm stopped sparking but stayed alert. Forest retracted his thorns but kept watching. The dragons had good instincts about people, and they seemed to accept the twins were not threats. Luna led them deeper into the cave to where she had set up a basic camp. She had medical supplies, food, and equipment stolen from various pirate raids over the years. The twins sat on the ground wincing as their injuries became more apparent. She examined their wounds with the efficiency of someone who had treated many injuries. The cuts were deep, but clean, no signs of infection yet. Their silver blood was strange but seemed to clot normally. She applied healing salve made from plants she had gathered on various worlds. As she worked, the twins asked her questions about her dragons, her magic, and her life as a bounty hunter. They seemed genuinely interested, not just curious about a novelty. Their respect for her abilities was clear in their voices. Luna found herself answering more honestly than she had talked to anyone in years. The next morning, Luna woke to find the twins studying her dragons with scientific fascination. Crix was sketching Flame in a digital notebook while Vex scanned Storm with some kind of handheld device. Forest sat between them, enjoying the attention. Like a pleased cat, Luna stretched and noticed how the twins immediately turned to watch her. Every movement made them focus on her completely. She was used to being stared at by various species, but something about their attention felt different. It was intense but not threatening, curious but respectful. She prepared a simple breakfast from her supplies while the twins explained more about their mission. They had been tracking an ancient signal that led them to this system. The signal matched energy readings from the time of the great magical races before the machine uprising. The pirates had attacked them near the outer planets, probably thinking their scientific vessel would be easy prey. The twins had managed to escape, but their ship was badly damaged. They crashed on this moon and had been searching for shelter when they found her cave. Luna told them about the pirate base she had been scouting. They had been raiding colonies and taking slaves for months. She had tracked them, here planning to attack tonight when they would be drunk from their latest raid. Crix asked why she hunted pirates alone without backup or support. Luna explained that she worked better alone except for her dragons. Most people feared her magic or wanted to use her for their own purposes. The dragons were the only ones who accepted her completely. Vex suggested they could help her attack the pirates. Their technology might be useful and they wanted revenge for the attack on their ship. Luna considered this. She had always worked alone, but the twins seemed capable despite their injuries. She agreed but set clear rules. She was in charge during the mission. They would follow her lead without question. If things went bad, they would retreat. Immediately, the twins agreed readily, seemingly happy just to be included. They spent the day preparing and planning. Luna learned more about their technology while they marveled at her magic working together. The twins had devices that could jam communications and disable security systems. She could move silently and strike from shadows. Her dragons took to the twins surprisingly fast. Flame began riding on Crix's shoulder. Storm perched on Vex's head. Forest divided his time between them playing. With their forearms, the dragons were excellent judges of character, and their acceptance meant something. As night fell, they moved toward the pirate base. Luna led the way through the jungle, her elf eyes seeing clearly in the darkness. The twins followed using night vision devices they had salvaged from their ship. The dragons spread out, scouting ahead. The pirate base was busy with activity. A new ship had arrived, and the pirates were unloading stolen goods. Luna counted at least 30 pirates, more than she had expected. But they were distracted and many were already drinking. Vex used his jammer to disable their alarms and communications, while Crix set up a device that would prevent their ships from taking off. Luna moved into position with her dragons ready to strike when the technology gave them the advantage. The attack began with Storm flying over the base, releasing lightning that destroyed their weapon storage. Flame followed, setting fire to their fuel depot forest. Grew vines that tangled the pirates' feet as they tried to respond to the attack. Luna moved through the chaos like a ghost. Her sword found throats and hearts before the pirates even saw her. The runes on her body glowed with power, enhancing her speed and strength. The twins provided cover fire with energy weapons, keeping the pirates confused. Within minutes, half the pirates were dead or wounded. The rest tried to flee to their ships but found them locked down by Crick's device. They surrendered, begging for mercy they had never shown their victims. Luna stood among the defeated pirates, glowing with magical energy. Her dragons circled overhead like deadly angels. The twins flanked her, their forearms holding weapons with steady precision. The surviving pirates looked at them with terror. She gave the pirates a choice: they could surrender and be turned over to the colonial authorities, or they could die here. Most chose surrender, but a few tried to fight and died quickly. Luna had no patience for those who preyed on the weak. While Vex secured the prisoners, Crix found something interesting in the pirate base computers. They had been working for someone else, collecting specific items and people. Someone was searching for magical artifacts and beings like Luna. The data mentioned the machine empire, which was supposed to be destroyed. Luna felt cold fear run through her. If the machines were returning, they would hunt her and any other magical beings to extinction. Just like before, the twins suggested she come with them to investigate. They could repair their ship with parts from the pirate vessels. Their people would want to know about this threat and would welcome someone with her abilities. Luna hesitated. She had been alone for so long that trusting others felt dangerous. But the twins had fought beside her without hesitation. They had proven themselves in battle. Her dragons trusted them, which had never happened with anyone else before. She could decide. Alarms started blaring from the pirate ship sensors. Something was coming toward the moon, something big. The readings matched Machine Empire signatures, but that was impossible. They had been destroyed decades ago. Luna ran to the sensor station and saw her worst nightmare confirmed. 3 machine destroyers were approaching fast. They would arrive within hours. The pirates had been bait to draw out magical beings like her. The twins immediately began working on repairs to their ship, saying they could be ready to leave in 1 hour. But Luna looked at the colonial settlements on the planet below. The machines would destroy them after they finished with the moon. She made her choice. She would buy time for the colonies to evacuate and for the twins to escape. Her dragons understood without being told. They had faced machines before and knew the cost. Crix grabbed her arm with 2 hands while his other 2 gestured at their ship. They would not leave without her. They had weapons and shields. That might help, Vex agreed, adding that 3 fighters were better than 1. Luna looked at these strange aliens who barely knew her, but were willing to die beside her. Something inside her that had been frozen for years began to thaw. She nodded, and they began preparing for a battle they might not survive. The next hour was spent in frantic preparation. They moved weapons from the pirate ships to defensive positions. They set traps using the stolen goods as bait. They sent warning messages to the colonies telling them to run. When the machine destroyers arrived, Luna stood ready with her dragons and the unlikely alien twins who had become her allies. The machines demanded her surrender, claiming she was the last of the space elves. Her death would complete their mission. Luna responded by launching herself into the air, riding Storm, while Flame and Forest attacked from the ground. The twins operated stolen pirate cannons with deadly accuracy. The battle for survival had begun, and Luna was no longer fighting alone. The first machine destroyer opened fire with plasma beams that turned the jungle around them into glass. Luna threw up a magical shield that barely held against the assault. Her runes burned hot against her skin as she channeled more power than she had used in years. Storm carried her between the enemy ships while she cast spells that disrupted their systems. The machines had not upgraded their defenses against magic in decades. They still believed magical beings were nearly extinct. Their arrogance would cost them below on the ground. Crix and Vex coordinated their defense with surprising skill. They used the pirate base's weapons, while their own technology interfered with machine targeting systems. flame melted through enemy drones, while Forest grew massive thorns that pierced their armor. The second destroyer launched fighter drones, hundreds of them swarming toward the moon. Luna knew they could not fight so many. She began preparing a spell she had only used once before. It would drain her completely but might save them all. The twins noticed her glowing brighter and brighter. They called out asking what she was doing, but she could not answer. The spell required total concentration. Every rune on her body blazed with white fire that could be seen from space. Luna released the spell in a massive wave of pure magical energy. It washed over the fighter drones like an ocean of light. The machines had no defense against such raw power. Their circuits fried and they fell from the sky like metal rain. But the effort left Luna weakened. She fell from Storm barely conscious as the dragon struggled to carry her safely to the ground. The twins ran to her side while the dragons formed a protective circle around them. All the machine destroyers adjusted their tactics. They began bombarding the moon from orbit, trying to kill them all with massive firepower. The ground shook and cracked under the assault. Mountains crumbled and the pirate base began to collapse. Vex had an idea. He had been studying the magical energy Luna produced and thought he could amplify it with their technology. If they could combine her power with their equipment, they might create a weapon. The machines could not resist. Crix worked frantically to modify their scanner while Vex helped Luna recover. They gave her water and energy supplements from their supplies. Her dragons transferred some of their own energy to her through their bond. Luna felt the twins' 4 hands supporting her and heard them speaking encouragement in their language. She did not understand the words, but the meaning was clear. They believed in her. They would not let her fight alone. When she opened her eyes, she saw both twins looking down at her with those large black eyes. The concern on their faces was genuine. They had known her for less than 2 days, but were willing to die protecting her. She sat up and looked at the device Crix had modified. It would channel her magic through a crystalline matrix that would amplify and focus it, but it would also create a feedback loop that could kill her if she used too much power. Luna did not hesitate. She placed her hands on the device and began channeling magic through it. The crystal began to glow and pulse with energy that made the air itself sing. The twins operated the controls directing the amplified magic. They fired a beam of pure magical energy at the first destroyer. It cut through the ship's shields, like they were made of paper. The machine vessel exploded in a brilliant flash that lit up the night sky of 3 different worlds. The second destroyer tried to retreat, but Forest had grown vines through a crack in its hull during the earlier fighting. The plants had spread through the ship, disrupting critical systems. It moved too slowly to escape their second shot. The third destroyer was smarter. It launched everything it had at them while charging its main weapon for a planet-killer shot. If it fired, the entire moon would be destroyed along with parts of the planet below. Luna knew they had one chance. She would have to channel everything she had through the device. The twins saw her intention and tried to stop her, but she pushed them away with magic. This was her fight, her purpose, but then something unexpected happened. The twins did not retreat. They placed their hands on the device with her. Their silver skin began to glow as they somehow synchronized with her magic. They were not magical beings, but their advanced biology could conduct energy together. They channeled power through the device. Luna provided the magic. Crix regulated the flow. Vex aimed and focused it. The dragons added their own energy to the mix. Flame provided heat. Storm gave electricity. Forest supplied life force. The combined beam that erupted from the device was unlike anything seen since the Age of Legends. It was magic and technology working in perfect harmony. It struck the third destroyer and did not just destroy it. The ship was unmade at a molecular level. The effort knocked all 3 of them unconscious. They woke hours later to find the dragon standing guard. The Colonial Defense Forces had arrived after detecting the battle. They found the destroyed machine ships and the unlikely heroes who had saved them. The commander of the defense forces was a human woman named Casey, who had heard legends of space elves but never believed them. She looked at Luna with awe and respect, offering her anything she wanted. As reward, Luna asked only for medical supplies, and parts to repair the twins' ship. She introduced Crix and Vex as her partners, which made them stand straighter with pride. The dragons preened as the soldiers carefully petted them. Casey warned them that more machines might come. The destruction of 3 destroyers would not go unnoticed. Luna agreed, which was why she had decided to leave with the twins. They would search for other survivors of the magical races that night. As they prepared the repaired ship, Luna found the twins studying the data they had downloaded from the machine destroyers. The machines were indeed returning, but they were not the same as before. Something was controlling them. Something that wanted magical beings, captured, not killed. The machines were collecting them for a purpose. The data mentioned a collection facility in a system 3 months' travel away. Crick suggested they investigate carefully. Vex agreed, but said they should report to their people first. The Zeta system had powerful defenses and scientists who would want to study this threat. Luna surprised herself by agreeing to meet their people. She had avoided civilization for so long, but these twins had earned her trust. They had literally shared her power and survived. Something that should have killed them all as they prepared to leave. Luna stood in the cave one last time. This place had been her refuge for months, but now it felt like a prison. She was ready to rejoin the universe, even if it meant danger. The twins waited by their ship, giving her privacy for her goodbye. When she emerged, they said nothing, but each offered her one of their hands. She took them, feeling their warm silver skin against her pale fingers. The dragons flew circles around the ship as it lifted off, excited for new adventures. Storm rode on the nose while Flame perched on a wing forest wrapped around the landing gear, until they reached space. Inside the ship, Luna sat between the twins as they entered hyperspace coordinates. She had not felt this safe in decades. These strange 4-armed aliens had given her something she thought lost forever. Hope and companionship were powerful things. They made her feel like she was not just surviving anymore, but actually living. She caught the twins looking at her again, and this time she smiled back at them. The journey to the Zeta system took 3 weeks through hyperspace. During that time, Luna learned more about the twins and their people. They were called the Zentari, a race that had evolved on a high-gravity world, which explained their 4 arms and dense muscles. Crix was the older by 3 minutes and tended to be more cautious and analytical. Vex was more impulsive and creative, but both were brilliant scientists. They had been studying ancient civilizations for 50 years, though they looked no older than 30 in human terms. The ship was small, with only one sleeping area, which led to interesting arrangements. Luna slept in the middle with a twin on each side, while the dragons curled up wherever they fit. It should have been awkward, but felt strangely natural. The twins taught her their language, which was complex with tones and hand gestures. She taught them Elvish magic theory, which they absorbed with enthusiasm. They discovered that while they could not generate magic, they could channel and direct it. Her dragons bonded completely with the twins during the journey. Flame learned to respond to Crick's hand signals. Storm played electrical games with Vex technology. Forest grew exotic plants from seeds the twins had collected on various worlds. Luna found herself relaxing in ways she had not in decades. She laughed at the twins' jokes about their misadventures on other planets. She shared stories of her childhood on Earth before the Exodus. She even sang Old Elf songs that made the twins' eyes go wide with wonder. They practiced combining their abilities every day. The twins modified more equipment to work with magic, while Luna learned to control her power more precisely. Together they were developing something entirely new, a fusion of magic and science. When they finally dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zeta system, Luna gasped at what she saw. 3 suns of different colors orbited each other, creating a rainbow of light. Dozens of planets and moons hosted various life forms. The twins' homeworld was a massive planet with gravity 3 times Earth normal. Its cities were built in layers, going both up into the sky and down into the ground. Billions of Zentari lived there in harmony with nature and technology. As their ship approached, they were scanned by security forces. The twins transmitted their identification, but the authorities seemed confused. They kept asking about the unusual life signs on board, meaning Luna and her dragons Vex explained they were bringing important allies with critical information about a machine empire threat. The authorities directed them to land at a special facility for quarantine and evaluation. Luna did not like being treated as a potential threat, but understood their caution. The landing pad was surrounded by armed guards and scientists. Luna stepped out first, wanting to show strength. The gravity hit her immediately, making her knees buckle, but she used magic to reinforce her body and stood tall. The dragons had more trouble. Flame could barely hover. Storm sparked uncontrollably from the effort. Forest grew thick bark to support himself. They stayed close to Luna as dozens of four-armed aliens surrounded them. An elderly Zentari female approached with no fear in her eyes. She introduced herself as Hexa, the lead counselor of their world. She had white skin instead of silver, and 6 arms instead of 4, marking her as ancient by their standards. Hexa studied Luna with deep black eyes that seemed to see through her. She spoke in accented English, saying she had not seen a space elf in over 200 years. She had thought them all dead. Luna explained about the machine threat and how the twins had helped her fight them. Hexa listened carefully, then invited them all to the council chambers. The guards relaxed slightly but remained alert. The council chamber was a massive dome with representatives from dozens of Zentari colonies. They watched on screens as Luna told her story, showing recordings from the battle at Kepler 9. The destruction of 3 machine destroyers caused quite a discussion. Some council members did not believe the machines could return. Others wanted to study Luna and her magic like a specimen. A few suggested she was the threat bringing danger to their system. The debate grew heated. Then Crix and Vex stood up and did something that shocked everyone. They performed a ritual gesture that Luna later learned was called the Bond Oath. They declared Luna their battle sister and life companion. Anyone who threatened her would face them. The chamber went silent. Hexa explained that the Bond Oath had not been performed in centuries. It was sacred and unbreakable. The twins had essentially made Luna family with all the rights and protections that meant. The council could not ignore this. They agreed to help investigate the machine threat and offered Luna sanctuary in their system. She could stay as long as she wished with full citizenship. Rights. Over the next days, Luna was tested and scanned by their scientists. They were fascinated by her magical abilities and how the dragons bonded with her. They had theories about quantum entanglement and parallel energy dimensions. Luna demonstrated her combat skills in their training facilities. The Zentari warriors were impressed by her speed and agility, even in their heavy gravity. She learned their fighting techniques, which utilized all 4 arms in complex patterns. The twins showed her their laboratory where they studied ancient artifacts. They had items from dozens of dead civilizations, including some elf relics Luna had not seen since childhood. She touched a crystal that had belonged to her grandmother and cried. Vex held her. While she sobbed, years of loneliness pouring out. Crix brought her water and food. The dragons wrapped around her protectively. The twins said nothing, just provided silent comfort until she was ready. That night, they took her to see the 3 suns, said it was the most beautiful thing she had witnessed in decades. The sky turned every color imaginable while flying creatures that looked like living rainbows danced in the air. Luna felt something she had thought lost forever. She felt home. Not because of the place, but because of the beings beside her. The twins had given her more than sanctuary. They had given her family. Hexa visited them the next day with troubling news. Their long-range sensors had detected machine activity in 12 systems. They were searching for something or someone. The pattern suggested they were closing in on the Zeta system. Luna knew she had brought danger to these people. She offered to leave to draw the machines away, but the twins refused to let her go. Hexa agreed, saying the Zentari did not abandon family. They began preparing for war. The Zentari had powerful technology but had been at peace for generations. They needed someone with combat experience to help them. Luna found herself appointed as a military advisor. She trained their soldiers in guerrilla tactics and magical warfare. The twins worked on combining their technology with magic, creating weapons and shields that used both. Their people were quick learners and eager students. Dragons became mascots for the troops. Flame demonstrated aerial combat techniques. Storm showed how to use electricity as a weapon. Forest taught them about biological warfare using plants. After 2 weeks of preparation, Long-range sensors detected a massive machine fleet heading their way. Hundreds of ships, including dreadnoughts that dwarfed anything Luna had fought before. The machine sent a transmission demanding Luna be turned over to them. They claimed she was a criminal who had destroyed their lawful patrol vessels. They offered to leave peacefully if she surrendered. The Zentari response was swift and united. They broadcast it on all frequencies so every ship in the fleet would hear it. Luna was family and the Zentari protected their own. The machines could leave or be destroyed. Luna stood in the command center surrounded by beings who had chosen to fight for her. The twins stood at her sides, their hands on her shoulders, her dragons perched ready for battle. The war for the Zeta system was about to begin and Luna would not face it alone. She had found something worth fighting for and beings worth dying beside. The machines had no idea what they were about to face. The machine fleet arrived at the edge of the Zeta system like a plague of metal locusts. 300 ships of various sizes, all armed with weapons designed to kill magical beings. Their leader was a massive dreadnought called the Extinction Luna, stood on the bridge of the Zentari flagship watching the enemy approach. The twins flanked her as always, their presence calming her nerves. Her dragons were stationed throughout the fleet, ready to provide support where needed. The Zentari fleet was smaller, only 100 ships, but each one had been modified with the magic amplifying technology Luna and the twins had developed. Their crews had trained hard in the new combat techniques. Hexa commanded the fleet with wisdom earned over centuries. She had fought in wars before the Long Peace and understood that victory often came from unexpected tactics. She trusted Luna completely, which meant a lot. The first attack came without warning. The machines launched missiles that phased through normal shields. Only the magical barriers Luna had taught them to create could stop them. Several Zentari ships took damage before adapting. Luna closed her eyes and reached out with her senses, feeling the flow of battle. She could sense every magical barrier, every dragon, every bit of power flowing through their modified weapons. This was her element. She directed Storm to lead a wing of fighters against the enemy flanks. His electricity disrupted their navigation systems. Flame melted through their armor with focused heat beams. Forest infiltrated their ships with aggressive vines. The twins worked at dual control stations, coordinating the technological side of the battle. Crix managed defensive systems while Vex handled offensive weapons. Their four arms moved in perfect synchronization. The battle raged for hours. Neither side could gain a clear advantage. The machines had numbers and firepower, but the Zentari had magic and determination. Every ship destroyed was a loss they felt, deeply. Then Luna sensed something different about the dreadnought extinction. There was a life sign aboard, not mechanical but organic. Someone or something was controlling the machine fleet from within. She told Hexa, who made a bold decision, they would board the dreadnought and discover who was behind this war. It was insane, but might be their only chance to end the conflict without massive casualties. Luna volunteered to lead the boarding party. The twins immediately said they would go with her. Along with a squad of Zentari Marines, they would infiltrate the enemy command ship and find answers. They used a stealth shuttle to approach the dreadnought, while the battle raged around them. Luna cloaked them in magic, while the twins masked their technology signatures. They docked at a maintenance port without detection. Inside the dreadnought was a maze of corridors and defensive systems, but Luna could feel the life sign pulling her forward like a beacon. Whatever it was, it wanted to be found. They fought through security drones and automated defenses. The Marines proved their worth, holding positions while Luna and the twins pushed forward. Her dragons scouted ahead, warning of ambushes. Finally, they reached the core of the ship, a massive chamber filled with strange machinery. At its center was a sight that made Luna gasp with shock and recognition. An elf hung suspended in a crystalline prison, not dead, but not truly alive either. It was Zara, her sister, who she thought had died in the machine war decades ago. But she had been captured and turned into something else. Zara opened her eyes and spoke with a voice that was both familiar and alien. She explained the horrible truth. The machines had not destroyed the magical races. They had collected them. Deep in machine space was a facility where thousands of magical beings were kept in stasis. Their power was being harvested to fuel a new type of technology. The machines were becoming magical themselves, The entity controlling Zara was the collective consciousness of the machine empire. It had learned that technology alone had limits. Magic was the next evolution. But they needed living conduits to access it. Luna felt rage like nothing before. Her people had not been destroyed, but enslaved, their power stolen and used against others. The machines were parasites feeding on magic they could not create. The machine consciousness spoke through Zara, offering Luna a deal. Join them willingly, and her sister would be freed. Refuse, and watch as every magical being in the galaxy was hunted and harvested. Luna looked at the twins, who nodded their support. Whatever she decided, they would stand with her. The Marines raised their weapons, ready to fight. The dragons growled with barely contained fury. Luna made her choice. She began to glow with power, not just her own, but drawing from every magical barrier in the Zentari fleet. The runes on her body blazed so bright the twins had to shield their eyes. She spoke words in ancient Elvish that had not been used since the creation of her people. Words of unbinding and freedom. Words that resonated through the crystalline prison holding her sister. The machine consciousness realized too late what she was doing. She was not just freeing Zara, but sending a signal to every captured magical being. Their prisons were all connected, and she was breaking them all across the galaxy. Thousands of magical beings woke from their forced sleep, elves and fairies and dragons and creatures of pure energy, all suddenly free and very angry at their captors. Zara collapsed as the connection broke, and Luna caught her. The sisters embraced for the first time in decades while chaos erupted throughout the dreadnought. Systems failed as the magical power source disappeared. The twins carried Zara while Luna fought their way back to the shuttle. The Marines covered their retreat as the dreadnought began to tear itself apart. The machine consciousness screamed in rage and fear. They barely made it back to the Zentari fleet before the extinction exploded. The destruction spread through the machine fleet as freed magical beings turned their power against their captors. Some machines tried to flee, but found themselves facing not just the Zentari but arriving ships full of freed prisoners. The galaxy had changed in an instant. The magical races were free and united in purpose. The battle became a rout. The machines had built their entire strategy on stolen magic. Without it, they were just metal and circuits facing beings who had every reason to destroy them. When the last machine ship was destroyed, Luna stood on the bridge, barely able to stand from exhaustion. The twins supported her while Zara recovered in the medical bay, where dragons curled around her protectively. Hexa declared Luna a hero of the Zentari people. She would always have a home with them, but Luna knew her work was not done. Thousands of magical beings needed help recovering from their captivity. The twins volunteered to go with her to help the survivors. Their ship would be a rescue vessel bringing aid and hope. They would travel the galaxy, reuniting families and rebuilding the magical races. Zara woke and chose to join them. She had much healing to do, but wanted to be with her sister. 2 elves and 2 Zentari and 3 dragons, an unlikely crew for an impossible mission as they prepared to leave. Luna realized she had found more than allies or even friends. She had found her purpose and her family. The twins had seen her at her most vulnerable and never looked away. Now she understood why their culture had a concept called soul sight, the ability to see someone's true self beneath all masks and defenses. The twins had seen her from that first moment in the cave. They saw her not as the last of something dying, but as the first of something new. A bridge between magic and technology, a warrior who fought for others, a woman worthy of love and respect. Luna took each twin's hand and performed the bond oath in return. The Zentari who witnessed it gasped at the significance. A magical being had never bonded with their kind before, but Luna was done with never and last and alone. She was part of something greater now, a family born of battle and choice. Her dragons sang with joy as the ship launched toward the stars. The war was over, but the real work had just begun. Rebuilding the magical races would take generations, but Luna would not face it alone. She had her sister, her dragons, and 2 aliens who never looked away. Together they would write a new chapter in the galaxy's history, one where magic and technology worked together, where different species stood as equals, where love transcended form and function. The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying hope to the scattered survivors. Luna stood between the twins, looking forward, not back. The future was uncertain but full of possibility.